Okay, thank you. As you have said, the title of my presentation today is Facebook and the Reconstruction of Northern Nigerian History. From the beginning, I would like to make it plain that Facebook has been an important social media platform where people network, invite, mobilize for political reasons, and so on and so forth, especially towards the facilitation of civic engagement and collective action. According to Snapshot 2022, in the US 2010 midterm election, it was observed that 70% of House candidates and 81% of senatorial candidates with more Facebook fans tend to win the election more than their contenders who do not. The focus of my presentation today, I would like to show how the people of Northern Nigeria use social media, Facebook as a social media platform, not just for networking, and for other social activities, but also for history making, for the commemoration of important figures, political figures, religious figures, and so on and so forth. However, I'm going to be selective because the videos that people share on Facebook in Northern Nigeria, I'm going to make a selective analysis, multimodal analysis of them. Northern Nigeria, today, because of the fall in reading culture, most people decide to prioritize bite-sized chunk for a soundbite culture. That is, they are migrating from reading culture to audiovisual materials, including issues dealing with history, which is the focus of my presentation. And most of the videos and the audios that are being shared on the social media platform amongst the people of Northern Nigeria are mostly talking about the pre-colonial history of the region, colonial and post-colonial history, focusing mainly on kingdoms, caliphates, prominent figures, artists, that is in the music industry, religious figures, and so on and so forth. Despite the fact that Facebook has contributed immensely to the development or as a source for historical reconstruction of the history of Northern Nigeria, there is vagrancy of literature or sources in this regard. So I think this will be a stepping stone for research of that nature. With me here is a map of Northern Nigeria. The greener part of the map is Northern Nigeria. The white side of it is Southern Nigeria. So you can see the landmass. Over 80% of the landmass belongs to the northern part of the country. So also the population, because today, out of the 218 million people in Nigeria, over 170 are located in the northern part of the country. Northern Nigeria basically can be regarded as a conglomeration of polities from the fringes of the Niger, Chad, and Cameroon republics to the confluence area, bringing River Niger and Benue together. The term Northern Nigeria was coined by the British colonial government that was based on the provision of the Richard's Constitution of 1946 that created 3 regions in the country. That is the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. So the north is predominantly Hausa Fulani and predominantly Muslim. So the region is distinguished by its predominant Islamic culture, as I've said, and tradition, and the prevalence of Hausa as the lingua franca, because over 90% of the population in the north speak Hausa, even though there are over 300 languages in the northern part of Nigeria. So Northern Nigeria contains, out of the 36 states of Nigeria today, 19 belong to the northern region. And out of the 19, 13 of them have a reasonable Muslim majority. For example, when you take Kano, Sokoto, Borno, Katsina, Kebbi, Jigawa, Yobe, Bauchi, and the rest. And 4 of them have substantial proportion of Muslims. That is when you take, for example, the cases of Adamawa, Taraba, and so on and so forth. 2, however, out of the 19 states have an obvious Muslim minority. That is Benue State and Plateau State. The region is very rich in terms of topography, land, vast land, table land for agricultural production, and the population also helps in that regard. It has a long history of a centralized system of administration over 1,000 years ago. The Kano Borno Empire, for example, is a classic example that we can give. The region has over 300 ethnic groups. Now I'm going to give a brief historical development of Facebook with particular reference to Northern Nigeria. It was established 2004, 2005 as an online social media and social networking service by Mark Zuckerberg and his co-founders. Facebook, according to them, they have 2.93 billion monthly active users and is globally ranked the third among the most visited websites. So from 2010, it is regarded as the most downloaded mobile app. The introduction of mobile phones in northern Nigeria, or in Nigeria in general, facilitated the spread, the use, and development of social media platforms generally. But in this case, the Facebook, since 2005, it gained momentum 2006 upwards to the present time. So it is normally used for social networking where people connect with families and friends, where it serves as a platform for invitation. Maybe somebody's getting married, and then you will post the card inviting people to his wedding, or somebody died, for condolences. People will use that same avenue. So today, what we have realized, beyond the social and the political dimension of social Facebook, especially in political rallies and so on and so forth, it has also served an important purpose, that is in the reconstruction of the history of the region, because the people of northern Nigeria are proud of their culture and heritage, especially looking at the kingdoms, the caliphates, the Islamic tradition, and so on and so forth. So they are in the fond of using videos. Most of the videos and audios were produced in the 60s, in the 1970s, way back up to the 1980s. So often, more often than not, you see people sharing those videos on their what do you call it, Facebook page. So I am using a personal experience, because I am a Facebook user for the past 13 years, very active, and I follow events as they unfold, especially talking about Nigeria and northern Nigeria in particular. The methodology is reliant, basically, this paper, on primary and secondary sources. So the primary sources, of course, happen to be the audiovisual materials that are available on Facebook, as well as some newspapers. So I have sent the soft copy of my paper. Probably you will see the details in the paper. So the secondary data, on the other hand, include, of course, published books, journal articles, and so on and so forth. So the videos are randomly selected through a simple search of keywords relating to history and northern Nigeria, which is what I have adopted. Then I use historical and qualitative research methodology in selecting and interpreting and analyzing the videos that are thematically arranged, so as to bring out the role of Facebook in history making among its users in northern Nigeria. So, of course, my personal experience. So now I'm going to the central focus of the paper, that is the Facebook and the reconstruction of history in northern Nigeria. So we have seen how it began from a social platform for political mobilization, for linking up with families and friends, to now something very serious, which is history of the people, the pride which they normally share. So through a purposive sampling technique, this paper analyzes the way and manner Facebook is deployed by the people of northern Nigeria as a source for historical reconstruction. So I'm going to give a selective analysis of the videos that are available, that are commonly shared by the people in the region, as a way of commemorating some important figures, political, religious, from the region. The first one is the giant in the sun. The giant in the sun, which is available in Figure 1, is a short documentary of 15 minutes produced by Northern Nigerian Information Service under the directorship of Sidney Samuelson. The video is also accompanied with a voice-over by Wayford Vaughan Thomas, narrating the historical development of Northern Nigeria. That is from the pre-colonial to colonial and down to post-colonial period. So this documentary provides a brief historical overview of African continent in general, thereby zooming the discussion to Nigeria, and to be specific, Northern Nigeria. It talks about the socio-political and economic life of the people. For example, the industry, the marketing system, schooling and education, traditional Islamic education, issues of marriage, cultural rights, like in the case of death, for example, wedding ceremony, dances, costumes, customs, and so on and so forth. So that's what the video is showing. I didn't put the video here, but so this is a screenshot of the video, which was posted by the Africa Archive. You can see the title there, History of Northern Nigeria, The Giant in the Sun. And it is in two parts, part 1 and part 2. And people are sharing, some are commenting. You can see how it goes. The second video that I want to talk about is titled Chronological History of Northern Nigeria, which is a video of 2 minutes, 8 seconds. So it's a combination, in this case, unlike the first one, of music and flashing of images in form of placards carrying short clippings of historical events that are often are taking place in the history of Northern Nigeria. That is from the pre-colonial, colonial, post-colonial period. It doesn't have a voice, but you will see music is going on, and you'll be seeing the writing from and the periods. So it's history, basically, as we know, deals with changes and continuities. So the video is designed in a way to show changes and continuities in the history and the historical dynamics of the people of Northern Nigeria. This is the video. It's still available on Facebook. You can search it. It has the symbol of Dagi. That is this David star, which is a symbol of Northern Nigeria today, since the First Republic, which is between 1960 to 1966. So this is a general example of the history of the people. But this one, I'm going to give a specific one, which is on an artist, a singer called Mamman Shata. So Mamman Shata, this video deals with the eulogy of Alhaji Mamman Shata, who was born 1900 and died 1999, and is one of the greatest traditional singers of Northern Nigeria. And even many years after his death, still people are playing his songs when you go to joins, when you go to public gatherings on the social media. And so because he was an activist and his songs talk about history of the region. So to the extent that this singer was likened to Abu Yazid Abdurrahman Al-Fazazi, who was an Arab poet, very prominent Arab poet, and is known for his panegyric poems for the Holy Prophet of Islam. And he's considered a leading figure in that area. One of his magnum opus is Shiriniyat, and many other important anthologies that he has written. So the person eulogizing Shatta, who was one of his men, argued that Shatta's voice is not only angelic, but is also free from kata, because his throat was made of gold. So you can see his songs are normally talking about history, as I have said, independence of Nigeria, civil war, which took place between 1967 to 1970 dot. Then the pre-colonial history of Northern Nigeria, like the case of Sokoto Caliphate and its figures, like Sheikh Uthman Danfodio, Abdullah ibn Fodi, and many others, important figures in the history of the region. You can see this is the video, which is available still. People are sharing, titled Kirarin Mamman Shata, the eulogy of Mamman Shata. And that is the person eulogizing him while he was still performing his music. So in conclusion, I would like to say that Facebook is more than just a mere social media platform where people connect, network, mobilize for political reasons, but also it can serve as one of the most important sources of history that can be used like any other source of history. This is achieved by providing a multimodal analysis of these selected videos that are available on Facebook as important materials for historical reconstruction of the history of Northern Nigeria. It is argued in this presentation that from the fact that Facebook as a social media can also be used for many other purposes. We can see the case of the Arab Spring, how it was used for social mobilization and thereby bringing down governments in history. So my paper concluded that the Facebook has been instrumental not only in the transmission of audio-visual materials about the history of Northern Nigeria, but is also raising awareness to their historical and cultural heritages. Thank you for listening.